There are a ton of very powerful abilities in Valorant, some of which are stronger than others. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the top 10 most overpowered abilities in Valorant. The rules are no ultimates, only one ability per agent, and finally, the abilities are going to be judged in a vacuum. That means I'm going to be judging their power level based on how strong they are on their own, instead of by how they combo with other abilities in an agent's kit. So without further ado, let's jump right into the list. Kicking off this list, we have Breach's Flashpoint. At one point, this was, and arguably still is, the best flash in the game. It's extremely hard to dodge because of how fast it goes off, making it very difficult to dodge, and it's really good at flashing enemies that try to hide behind cover. Actually, it's the most reliable way to flash an enemy behind cover. Easily the best ability in Breach's kit, and when abused correctly can provide a ton of value. The biggest reason that it's lower on this list is because of the fact that a lot of the times you need a teammate to be able to capitalize on it. Without a jet to dash in or a Raze using her double satchels to close the distance, you're usually blinding an enemy that's not in a position that you can confirm the kill from. This is because the ability's biggest strength is also its biggest flaw. Yes, you can flash enemies behind cover, but that means when you flash them, they will be behind cover. The fact that you will need a wall means that there will inherently be a wall between you and an enemy that you flash. There are ways to play around this flaw and flash enemies that you can kill yourself, but it requires a little more thought than you would expect. So Flashpoint is still a great ability, but has a couple of flaws that only allow it to take the number 10 spot. Taking the number 9 spot on this list is Neon's Relay Bolt. Although Neon herself isn't the most top tier pick in the game, you can't deny the power of this ability. When used correctly, it's able to stun up to 2 areas and is very hard to dodge. The stun covers a wide area and leaves enemies vulnerable enough for Neon to finish them off. Similar to Breach's Flash, it's able to stun enemies behind corners, but unlike Breach, Neon is an agent that is able to capitalize on the stun thanks to her mobility. But her mobility aside, stunning is such a powerful form of CC in Valorant, making it hard for enemies to reposition as well as messing with their aim. Making it easy to land because of its wide range is just the icing on the cake that gives it the number 9 spot on this list. Moving on to the number 8 spot on this list, we have Sage's Barrier Orb. Not traditionally seen as a powerful ability, but it really is. You can't underestimate the power of blocking off an area of the map, whether that's to make planting the bomb safer or to slow down an enemy push. Sage's wall is also great for creating off angles and high ground for you and your teammates to play from to catch enemies off guard and get easy kills from it. Again, Barrier Orb is not the most flashy ability, but it sure is effective, which is why we gave it the 8th spot on this list. There were a lot of great abilities to give the 7th spot on this list, but the one that I decided to give it to is Ko0 Point. I was very close to putting Kayo's Flash in this spot, but it's hard to deny the power of Kayo's Knife. Being able to turn off the abilities on any enemies within its range can easily stop an entire push on its own, or allow your team to easily run over any unlucky players that decide to play on a site. On top of that, 0 Point also provides a ton of valuable information on which enemies are playing there. So to top it all off, all of this utility is on an ability that is on a cooldown and can be used multiple times in a round. 0 Point is strong and definitely deserves a spot on this list. We still have one more spot on this list before we get into the top 5, and coming in at number 6 are Raze's Paint Shells. It was a very tough call putting this ability at number 6 since it could easily have sneaked its way into the top 5, but after contemplating it for a while, I've decided that this is the right spot for it. You can't deny that this is a very powerful ability. It's very good at clearing out space and forcing enemies back. If you're able to catch an enemy in a corner, it's pretty much a free kill. It's great for stalling plants, for countering other powerful abilities like Sova's Drone or Sky's Trailblazer, and combos well with all of the powerful CC abilities in the game. Paint Shells is pretty much the only ability in the game that can get multiple kills by itself and is very difficult to deal with when used correctly. So it earns itself the 6th spot on this list of the 10 most overpowered abilities. Kicking off our top 5, we have Viper's Snakebite. I know it's a little weird putting a molly this high up on the list, but Snakebite is a very scary ability, dealing damage while also making you vulnerable if you touch it even for a second. This ability is great for stalling pushes since if you decide to try pushing through it, you likely won't make it out alive, as even a single body shot can sometimes be fatal. It's also an insane ability for post plants, able to stall diffuses for almost 6 seconds each. And to top it all off, Viper gets 2 of them. Overall, a very solid ability and just barely makes it into the top 5. Moving along to the number 4 spot, we have Omens Paranoia. Literally the strongest blind in the game with a giant AoE, able to go through walls, blinding and deafening multiple enemies. This ability alone can win your team an entire round if used correctly, giving you or a teammate multiple free kills on enemies that literally can't see or hear them. The only reason this ability isn't higher is because sometimes you do need a teammate to be able to make the most of it. But besides that, this ability is crazy and is well deserving of a high spot on this list. We've now reached our top 3, and all of these abilities are pretty much expected to be high up on a list like this. Taking the number 3 spot is Jett's Tailwind, or her dash as most players like to call it. Jett's dash is crazy, so crazy that it was reworked, and it's still crazy. Tailwind is a get-out-of-jail-free card that is rivaled by very few abilities in the game. It allows Jett to take fights that almost no other agent in the game can realistically take without risking an entire round. It's a very powerful engage tool that allows her to capitalize on teammates' CC or just take space and make it hard to defend a site. When it comes to overpowered abilities, Jett's dash is definitely up there and will probably continue to be for a while. Coming in the number 2 spot on this list, Sova's Owl Drone. Easily the best scouting tool in the entire game, even after the big nerfs it got a while ago. Being able to scan an entire area with perfectly clear vision, fly up and down to get better vantage points depending on the map, and even tag an enemy to make them visible through walls is so insane to have on a single ability. There's only one reason why I'm putting this ability in the number 2 spot and not in the number 1 spot, and that's because it leaves you vulnerable while you're droning. In a lot of cases, this doesn't really matter, but sometimes if an enemy gets a good flank, you might just get picked off while trying to drone for your team. It's also hard to use mid-round sometimes when you don't know where everybody is, because again, you risk having someone find a way to get behind you and kill you for free. However, that downside isn't really a big one in most cases, and Owl Drone is such a strong piece of utility regardless. We've now reached the number 1 spot in our list, and taking the crown for most overpowered ability in Valorant is Chamber's Rendezvous. This ability did get a nerf a few patches ago, but this ability was so strong that even after those nerfs, it's still the best ability in the game. Similar to Jett's dash, Chamber's TP is a get-out-of-jail-free card that lets him play in positions that almost no other agent can. It allows Chamber to take aggressive aim duels and look for picks, and is the ability that defines his playstyle as an agent. When played by someone who knows what they're doing, this ability can make a good Chamber feel pretty much invincible, getting picks and teleporting to safety, making him pretty much untradeable. It's often the case that the simplest abilities are usually the most powerful, and Rendezvous is no exception. And that concludes this list for the 10 most overpowered abilities in Valorant. If there are any abilities that you think we missed, don't forget to let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you're still here, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, all of us at SkillCapped want to give you a huge thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.